So we had a bit of rain last week, and with that moisture, a number of things have now popped up above ground. The little Eulophia guineense is another very early spring flowering, early rainy season plant with these lovely white and kind of purpley pink flowers that usually will flower just before the rains or at the start of the rains and are leafless at the time of flowering. Here we have Eulophia fredericii, another one of the very early flowering orchid species, growing on a raised trunk bed with these little orange and purple flowers that blend in quite well to the background, but nevertheless bring a bit of color to the garden at this time of year. Here we have Raffianacme welwichii, a member of the Apocynaceae family. It grows from this nice kind of enlarged tuberous root that can be exposed. Normally this would be fully under soil, but here I have exposed it so that we can actually enjoy the root as well. That then puts up every year annual stems, maybe about a meter long, but then flowers just before the leaves really start to leaf out. Not exceedingly colorful, but a lovely little addition to any woodland garden. So here, under the shade of this strychnos tree, sometimes also called the monkey orange or the elephant orange for these fruits, I've planted a number of indigenous materials, herbaceous material. Here is another Eulophia orchid. This is Eulophia gaunichyla, which is similar to Eulophia fredericii that we saw earlier, but larger flowers and the different coloring of more kind of purple and purpley brown on this one. Again, flowering before any leaves appear, either before the rains or just as the rains start. So another little lovely addition. And then beside it here, we have this little chlorophytum species that also comes up very, very early as the rains start, and is quite ornamental with the bright yellow anthers on the flowers. We're here in the woodland section of the garden, of the farm, where there's a number of species that much prefer more shade than full sun, as in some of the grassland kind of areas. So let's have a look and see what we find. So here we have a lovely large specimen of the flower on the Amorphophallus mosambicensis in the family Aeraceae. Each year we actually normally have about roughly about 100 of these flowers come up and bloom, either just before the rains in November through into December after the rains have started. So the plants will throw up this fantastic flower which in the evening emits not the nicest of scents, and attracts carrion beetles and things like that to pollinate it. So the flowers of Amorphophallus are in different sections. It's not quite the most conventional flower. The actual flowers are inside at the base of the spadix. You have the female flowers at the very bottom, followed by the male flowers, which are here. And then the spadix itself, actually, which is the part that emits the foul odor to attract the pollinator, surrounded by this lovely spathe. Quite ornamental on this one in terms of the frills and the undulation of the actual spathe. When the flowers are pollinated, when the female flowers get pollinated, the stalk will elongate and the berries start to develop, which at first are green, but then as they ripen around January will turn from green through to orange and even red, and are then dispersed by some of our local bird species here around the farm. So this is Gonatopus bovinii. This is a relative of Amorphophallus, also in the family Aeraceae. And rather than producing the purpley, almost black spathes that we saw earlier, this one produces almost pure white, which is quite lovely, with a very lovely contrasting kind of mottled and striped back of the spathe. And as the flower ages, the inner part of the spathe starts to become more mottled. Now this plant will normally, rather than only putting up one inflorescence, like the Amorphophallus, will usually put up about 3. So we've got the one that's open here, the second one, and then a third one just at the base coming up. Lovely, lovely plants.